Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. What is this? Is this yet another tank? One of the things that I rarely feature on my channel these days, with only focusing on some little pew-pew PT boats. Yes, it is a little Soviet tank destroyer, namely the SU-57B. And I want to show you this tank because there has been not that much addition for the tanks with this patch, but this is one of the additions, and it looks kind of strange. So first of all, how the gun looks attached to the tank, it reminds me a little bit like a Panzer 470A or a Hetzer that kind of had a head-on collision with a mouse. So it looks a bit odd, a bit weird, and the tank itself is not great, but the gun is. This is kind of the summary. So the armor, pitiful, but it's at least machine gun safe. That's a bit better than some of the other tanks. The deck and the rear, the engine deck, is not really that strong, but it's better than an open top tank destroyer. The side is not really great. The mobility is not the best, but it's also not extremely pitiful. But the reverse gear is bad. You have no neutral steering. Going uphill is a pain. The gun handling is not the greatest, with only -5 degrees of gun depression, 14 degrees gun elevation, limited firing arcs, and it is a casemate tank destroyer, 6.6 degrees per second turret traverse, so I guess it's 7 with an A screw, and 5.3 aka 5 seconds for an A screw reload actually shows you the strength, and that is the gun. This CIS-4 cannon you will find on higher tier tanks, higher battle rating tanks to be precise. This is 4.0, SU-57 4.3, T-34 57 4.3, and the premium version 4.7 because it can fire APCR. The ammunition on the SU-57B is kind of all that you need. You have no APCR, you have no APDS, APFSS or something like this. You have a good old stock APHE-BC round, and this is what I primarily use because of the normalization, because of the reduced amount of bouncing that it creates. The muzzle velocity is also actually pretty great with nearly 1,000 meters, and this makes the gun feel like a little long 88. And the damage output sometimes is not sufficient to one-shot an enemy tank, so I think this is where you have to go for the disabling shot, either for the gun breach or you have a side shot, and then count on that the enemy doesn't turn around fast enough before you can reload and finish him. Now I have here a good two replays, or two matches that are recorded that I want to present you. The first one is hilarious, the other one is a bit more serious business, so I don't want to spoil. I don't want to make you wait any longer. Let's see the tank in action. So here we are on one of the most beautiful yet most unfriendliest tank maps that there is. It's another city fight map, and I personally dislike this. Also, it kind of makes the tank even worse than it actually is on the quote-unquote average map, because the long-range capabilities of your gun are not really that much needed. The bad gun handling is actually really feelable when you try to come around a corner. Also, the light weight of the tank and the low horsepower to ton ratio makes it really difficult to breach through stone walls, and to actually, you have very often some rather amusing mating rituals with some of the lampposts. So it is really not that great, the tank, but the gun is. So the only real task that you have to bring is to bring the gun on target, and I had here a funny match. So if you look at the map, I'm coming a little bit from the side towards B, and I try to get into position through this stone wall. The B is currently captured, but I see no tank, so I gamble here a little bit. It's a risky play to come closer, and I actually didn't want to drive over this tank, but War Thunder physics. And then the stone wall, you can see it takes me so long. I saw briefly a tank, but sadly I couldn't get gun on him. Then an artillery strike robs me of even more vision, so I need to be patient. I point the gun at where I expect him to be, and then the smoke slowly clears and there is no tank. I thought it could be a Chinu, and in the kill streak a Panzer IV F2 got rid of it. You know, alt Panzer IV F2. I still think could there be another tank? I'm really careful. I really want to wait for support. This is not a frontline tank. This is a support tank. This is a second line tank, and it is more like a camper. It's more like a tank that you put into position and hope that an enemy tank drives by, or where you try to defend a cap. So now I see that slowly but surely there is a KV-1 coming in, and I want to position myself now on this corner, hoping that something comes through. Now please notice my positioning. I count on the KV-1 shielding my right. I want to lock down this road if anybody comes driving by into the cap, but I also can look into this gap between the buildings to at least see an enemy coming, and hopefully I can react quickly enough. Now I feel like there is nothing to be done, so let's have a date with a lamppost. Oh yeah, worth on the physics. I'm sorry, but this is what really there is so much stuff in the city of this stuff that looks great, but makes a tank playing it on such a city map just so exhausting for me, so annoying, you know, especially in a light tank that needs all the speed it can get. In a tank destroyer with a fixed mounting, imagine there would have been a enemy tank. I'd be done. I'd be oh, hello there. So he has the advantage, and he actually, well, whiffs the shot, and I have all the time in the world to finish him off. So you can easily penetrate rather thin armor, even though it's angled, without the fear of bouncing it if you use the stock shell. Now you can see that I have actually a lot of the primary shell, then just 5 shells of the quote-unquote upgraded APHE shell, which does give you just raw penetration, but not against angled armor, and some high explosive shells. Now I never had to use the high explosive shells due to the high rate of fire, and also I tried always to avoid any sort of flak or SPA. Now you have no machine gun, you have no smoke, the gun firing arcs on that are not that great. The gun elevation speed, the gun depression, it's really not that great. The tank doesn't have any sort of big amount of tools. It even doesn't have an artillery strike, and this makes the tank really suffer. And you have to count on enemy tanks not being aware of you. Look, I'm directly in his line of sight, but I was frontline camping and I knocked out his engine. Now I have to actually adjust my tank, but the rate of fire is sufficient that before he could turn the tank, I could finish him off with a crew knockout or an ammunition explosion. Either way. Now here I'm really, you know, stretching my luck, if you will. I'm frontline camping, and if anybody would come from my rear side, there is not much that I could do. So I'm listening, I'm silent, I'm really trying to figure out and to lock down this area, actually trying to hold down the enemy's supply of fresh tanks, and there is nothing coming. But I'm not in a bad position. This is probably the best position you can imagine for this tank. Yes, it's very risky, you're in the open, but oh, I'm so dead. Hello there. Look at how long it takes this tank to turn around. Oh my god, it takes so long. Now B gets already decaptured, but I only have one thought. I need to kill this guy. And this brings me to one of the most hilarious situations that there is. Avoiding the lamppost. I am on the hunt. No time for that. And I already have 2 kills. So let's just go in. Let's be rather aggressive. First, there he is. 1 hit into the engine, hopefully setting him on fire. While he turns the turret, I then can have enough, or the reload is fast enough to actually deal with this. Actually, the loader is coming back in, but he is in the capture zone, so his repair is faster. There is the cannon breach. There is his hello there. I need to finish him. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Finish him off. And now there is the reload advantage. Come on, come on. Gunner knocked out again. Okay, he's aiming at me, but his gun breech is knocked out, and there I got a double kill. Now I'm really happy about this. I want to come around the corner, and that exactly at the wrong moment. Here is the bad gun handling, and I catch the shell, and yeah, I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Yeah, but that was really great. And this is now a match that is a bit more serious, where I hope I can make clear the playstyle of this tank. You have to invest a bit more time in flanking, and Mostok is a map that from this side and also the other side offers you a great flanking opportunity with lots of hull down situations. Sadly, you cannot use hull down locations like some of the other tanks. Again, only 5 degrees of gun depression, low horsepower to ton ratio, bad reverse gear. This sounds like a British tank that also has no turret armor and no gun depression. Some of the British tanks, you know, that I'm talking about that come to my mind, such as the Cromwell, they have sometimes trolley turret fronts. They have up to 12 degrees of gun depression, and they have a turret, you know, so they can actually then disengage much faster. So in this case, I want to catch the opponents in when they are overextending, when they are too aggressive. I want to secure the flanks of my team. I want to help my team out as a long-range support. Again, the gun is really great, nearly 1,000 meters muzzle velocity. That makes the gun feel like a little 88, little long 88. And you have faster reload, but not that much penetration, not that much damage output, you know, if you really want to compare it. But just to give you the feel of this, also the scope is great. You can actually hit targets at long range. Not everything went perfect in this match, but you cannot really always show perfect matches and, you know, perfect circumstances and say, look, so easy, this is how you play the tank, because very often there is also a bit amount of luck. In this case, I was again a bit lucky, but I think that at the end I deserved kind of this luck due to my positioning, due to the actions. I see a little bit of action going on, and there is my first customer of the day, and you can see how long it takes to stabilize the gun, to actually align here the gun sight with the target. But then you can hit the target, but he was behind the tree. Now he actually is kind of behind the rock, and look at how long it takes to actually disengage. You have to expose a big portion of your tank, and this makes it not really nice to play it around the ridgeline. So I want to actually disengage. I slowed this flanking Panzer IV F2 down. I, you know, hit him. He got visible on the minimap, and he is, you know, immobilized. So potentially he could be killed easily. And I gave my team here a lot of time to, well, position itself. There now is one of those Sonderkraftfahrzeugs, and yeah, that was the most unlucky hit that you can get into it. A second one, you know, my Puma doesn't work like this. When I played a Puma, this never... Oh, come on. Okay, so this is kind of the bad luck or not the perfect shot, but you could see the ferocious rate of fire being there at work. I saw some other enemies. I have again to adjust here the gun sight. Is there something going on? Hello there. He is aggressively going through the open, and yeah, that is the lack of gun depression. Again, I have to expose here a lot, and that puts me in a lot of danger. The Panzer IV knows or should know that he was shot from this direction. The Puma knows that he got shot 3 times from this direction, and so just before I decided to get guns on targets, I decided to get into a better position to at least partially save here my side, going over the ridgeline. He's in a very good, very nasty spot, but not today's sunshine. And there you could see the really great normalization angles of the stock APHE BC round. Flat-nosed warhead, really dealing awesomely with, you know, rather thin but heavily angled armor. So this is kind of the awesome, great Soviet shell. For all of you that are interested in, again, a very risky maneuver, what I wanted to actually say in my Begleitpanzer revisit, when I had on the thumbnail Russian bias inside, that was a reference to the Begleitpanzer having this APHE BC round as the only non-Russian tank in the game that actually has it, as far as I know. Now with ships, some of the ships have APHE BC rounds, and also some of the Russian captured tanks, including the American rewards floaty thing. they have also APHE BC rounds, but they are based on Russian tanks, or the guns are Russian. So that makes the Begleitpanzer in this respect unique, as I showed in this video. You might want to look it up. So here, this is now again a fast flanking maneuver, and you could see on a flat terrain the tank can go up to reasonable speed despite the horsepower to ton ratio barely being above 10. Again, a very risky maneuver here. I try to get into position. Again, I have to expose a very great portion of my tank. I have to go to the top of the hill. I count on the 88 flak truck to not see me, and I want to aim here for the ammunition because they can actually absorb a lot of damage. Now I aim for the gun to disable it, but I was lucky enough to actually destroy it with a crew knockout. He was shot before numerous times. So the ammunition going black on this vehicle is really annoying because the ammo rack is so well exposed and it always goes black. I had multiple cases shooting the Sonderkraftfahrzeug with the Flak 36 on it, where I shot both, parts of the ammo rack. Both went black, and then the gun turned and one-shotted me in return. And then we have another threat, and this is aircraft. So what can you do in a tank that is so slow, so unmaneuverable, has no machine gun and rather weak top armor? Well, there are trees, hide beneath them and hope that the enemy aircraft gets impatient enough to then shoot at something else. For a split second I thought some fighting is going on there, and what I do now is going really aggressively forward. I see here some tanks. That shot went, well, he whiffed a bit above. And there you can see, now I take a little bit of damage, but I was lucky enough that he didn't have the good aim, and a little bit, the armor neglected a lot of the incoming damage, so it's rather thin, but I was not completely immune. Below those trees I have good visual cover. There are very rare places where you have hard cover from aircraft, mostly then in city maps under those, entrances between buildings. Or beneath a bridge, but there is nothing like this to be found on this map. Well, very close to my spawn, but no. So I move again forward. I always try to have some kind of visual cover, and you can see here my team has the upper hand. They have the advantage. They kind of now profit indirectly from my clearing of the flank. So I took my time, I was patient, I waited for the right situations to occur, and patience is mandatory in this tank, if I have not made this clear. And at the end of the gameplay I tried to have here my, to collect here my reward to get in the hits. I look around and then there is another blast. Oh, there is still a tank, so I move forwards again. And then this is a bit strange what happens right now. So I got the first hit in. It doesn't kill the tank outright. I try to adjust for it, and then the shell just disappears in the void. I have no idea what happened. The second shell doesn't do enough damage, so the blast radius is a bit limited. Then again, just the tracks and the radiator, I have to adjust. So I was really lucky that I didn't get killed here. Was this bad marksmanship? Did I overestimate here the damage output of my own shell? I don't know. But the Corsair, the Japanese Corsair, is back in the action, killing an IL-2, and I think I was really lucky that he didn't see me, or he's turning around for another attack run, which is more likely. There is a Stuka, and he's bombing a lot. The blast actually hit me and might have made me appear on the minimap. There is a Panzer IV, and at this point I thought I'm dead, but in the last split second I actually take out his gunner and his turret aim. He disengages with a smoke, which I don't have, and also he disappears around the corner, so I don't want to hang around here for hopefully he comes out of the smoke and me finishing off. Don't take the risks. Say as do as I say, not as I do, okay? Very often I'm greedy, like shooting here at the Stuka. And yes, it's called Stuka that's the short version of Sturzkampfbomber, not Stuka. Stuka Bliat. And now I think I don't get another kill, and the match is about to end. There are not that many players alive, but yeah, even more got killed now in the kill feed. So some more aircraft. I doubt that I get another kill, but some people have respawned, but we have the actually upper hand. It was not only me. Oh, there is now a martyr, and he still has spawn protection, but I count on him shooting at here the M4A1 Sherman. Now he's pinged, and I actually get the kill on him with a nice, center mass shot. So this was my ace, this was my survivor without getting the survivor medal, which requires you to get at least 5 kills, having the most kills on your team and not die. So again, it's a very, very difficult kind of award to get. 21,500 silver lines, 2,844 vehicle research points or modification research points. That was a great result. So as a final summary, I can just tell you that the tank itself is not very good. It doesn't have a big amount of tools. It is very limited, but the gun is really great, and I hope that I made this clear with this video. So position is everything. To get into the right circumstances or have the right enemies is always beneficial. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.